Hello, everyone. Welcome to Infra 201. My name is Shubhika Taneja, and I'm a product marketing manager on cloud networking. I have with me Lakshmi Sharma, who is the director of product management, and Kayode Salawu, who is our product specialist based out of London. So I will be covering the portion on a year in cloud networking, and then Lakshmi and Kayode will deep dive into the Network Intelligence Center that you must have heard about at the keynote this morning. These conferences are a great opportunity for Google Cloud to meet so many experts under the same roof. So please take a couple of minutes to give us some feedback so that we can continue to improve what we bring to you next year. So with that, I'm going to begin by attempting the impossible, which is to give you a synopsis of what happened in cloud networking over the last 1 year in just 13 minutes, because the rest of this session will be all about Network Intelligence Center. So we have rolled out several products and services in the last 1 year, but in the interest of time, I'll cover just the handful of recent advancements and also touch upon some of the fundamentals of our portfolio. I'm sure that many of you in this room are involved with either building or influencing the cloud strategies for your organization. And whether that is multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, or some other customization, it's important to remember that the network matters. As you are planning your cloud strategy, we at Google Cloud have been innovating a lot of things to enable that in a fast and frictionless way. And that is achieved through the highest standards of security, reliability, and performance. We have also introduced advancements such as bring your own IP and the topology visualization, which will help accelerate your time to migration. Now, as you think about modernization, whether that is lift or shift, or adopting microservices, moving away from monoliths, or somewhere in between, we want to be your partner at your pace. And that's why we offer seamless networking for containerized applications, and also several open source and GCP-managed solutions that make the adoption of microservices easier. And lastly, since your deployment rests on the shoulders of the network, to keep those strong and sturdy, proactive network operations is extremely important, which is why we launched the Network Intelligence Center, Google Cloud's new comprehensive platform for network monitoring, verification, and optimization. Now, one of the core fundamental differentiators that acts as the backbone for all of Google's services, such as Google Search, YouTube, and Gmail, is our network. With Google Cloud, we give our customers access to the same backbone that powers our billion-user applications. A quick look at what this looks like globally. We have 20 regions today, with 5 more regions that have been announced. We have 134 POPs, or points of presence, which are the points where the traffic is exchanged between Google's network and the public internet. 9 years ago, Google became the first major non-telco to build subsea cables. Today, we have 14 subsea cable investments, and one of our recent most subsea cables that we announced a few months ago was Equiano from Portugal to South Africa. And just last week, we successfully finished testing and installing Curie, and we are now hooking it up to the Google's network. While we are on the topic of the infrastructure, I also want to announce that we recently added a high-performance network for the users in Middle East by connecting them to our Mumbai region in India. This is especially useful for latency-sensitive applications, such as gaming, because it brings the servers closer to the home of our gamers in the Middle East. Now, as you think about cloud networking, there are 2 things to think about. The first one is the infrastructure under the hood that we just talked about, and the second is the products and services that our customers can adopt and consume. There are over 20 products and services in cloud networking. Not everything is shown here because there isn't enough space. But at a high level, it can be broken down into 5 categories, which is connect, scale, optimize, secure, and modernize. As you build your cloud strategy, I'm sure that all these 5 are top of mind for you, depending on where you are in your cloud journey. First, on connectivity, which is also naturally one of the first things that you think about when you are connecting to the cloud, we offer several hybrid connectivity options. And in addition to that, we made 2 major advancements this year. With the high availability VPN, you can now connect your on-prem network to Google Cloud with an industry-leading SLA of 99.99%. And this is catered towards your mission-critical workloads. With the 100 gig dedicated interconnect, you now get 10x the capacity of our previous offering, allowing you to bring massive amounts of bandwidth. You can also group it together into link aggregation groups and get higher bandwidths. We do understand that IP address management is, again, one of the challenging areas during migration. As you may have heard in the keynote this morning, we now let our customers to bring their IP to the cloud so that they can migrate their applications to the cloud without requiring their customers or partners to change their IP address whitelists. This significantly reduces the toil, the downtime, and the risk during migration. We are also the first cloud provider to make this globally available across all our regions. After you have figured out connectivity, you then need to make sure that you are serving your end users in the best possible way with your workloads. Google Cloud offers a choice between premium tier and the standard tier network service tiers. With premium network service tier, the traffic is delivered on Google's private express lanes that comprise of the high bandwidth, low latency, highly reliable global network backbone. But for certain workloads, you may opt for the standard tier, which is a lower performance and lower cost alternative, but still comparable in performance to other public clouds. Once you have decided your connectivity options, then you need your own logically isolated and secure piece of Google Cloud, which is the Virtual Private Cloud, VPC. What's unique about our global VPC is that it uses the same network backbone that powers our billion user applications that I talked about earlier. And this lets the users, the customers, to create VMs anywhere in the world, in any of our 20 regions, and have private connectivity between them by default. So you don't need to set up any VPN tunnels or peering connections or give your VMs public IPs for them to communicate across regions. It all happens by default. And that significantly reduces the toil of your deployment by giving you access to your workloads globally. As we just saw in Google Cloud, the VPC is global by default. So you do not need VPC peering to communicate between regions. Still, you may want to separate deployments in different VPCs for isolation purposes. And in that case, VPC peering is the ideal thing to keep these entities connected. Earlier, you could exchange only subnet routes through VPC peering, but we just recently GA'd the capability that allows you to exchange any types of routes with VPC peering. That includes static routes, subnet routes, and dynamic BGP routes. A very common use case for this is when you have two VPCs connected through VPC peering, and you would like to reach both of them from your on-prem network using, let's say, a single VPN. Then in that case, the routes can be exported from the VPC that's connected to your on-prem network to the other VPC. Now, as you begin migrating to the cloud and scaling your applications, you obviously care about scale, right? Scale is one of the fundamental benefits that the cloud offers. From the network perspective, load balancers and CDN enable seamless scale. Now, let's first understand how Google does load balancing. In most cloud providers, load balancers are regional, and that means you need a separate virtual IP address per region, and your application instances are running in those regions as well. As a result, your regional load balancers cannot leverage the capacity, the global capacity, across all the regions. But at Google, we think about load balancers differently. The way we have designed our global load balancer, it does not matter where your application instances are. You get a single virtual IP or VIP for all your regions around the world. And that enables the load balancers to leverage the global capacity and do cross-region failovers. Now, as your traffic grows, this is also closely tied to the autoscaler. It automatically scales up your backend instances when your traffic grows and scales them down when the traffic goes down. And the Google Cloud load balancing reacts instantaneously to the changes in users, traffic, the network backend health, and other related conditions. Our most recent addition to the load balancer portfolio is the L7 internal load balancer. We announced it at Next Tokyo a few months ago. It allows customers to scale HTTPS services behind a private load balancing virtual IP, and load balance based on layer 7 parameters. It's powered by Traffic Director and the Envoy under the hood, and it enables customers to bring modern load balancing to legacy environments. Security, of course, is top of mind for everybody, whether you are in cloud or on-prem. On Google Cloud, the customers enjoy an unrivaled DDoS protection. This is the same DDoS protection that has been built over the last 20 years to protect and ensure the availability of Google's own services that we talked about earlier. Now, due to the global nature of Google's network, we are able to absorb and dissipate or otherwise mitigate a bunch of layer 3, layer 4 network attacks or volumetric attacks across the various components of our global load balancing infrastructure. This happens automatically upstream from the customer's network, and in the future, we are also planning to add reporting and metrics around these DDoS attacks. Cloud Armor security policies can be configured to enforce rate limits, IP and geo-based access, and as well as pre-configured, fully customized WAF-style application protection rules. Next, as you think about modernizing in cloud, there is one last capability that I want to touch upon before I start wrapping up this session. We announced container-native load balancing last year, and that enables you to set up network endpoint groups so that the services that are requesting access can basically be load balanced directly to the containers who are serving this request. And we have worked hard over the last 1 year to improve the performance, scalability, and the user experience of container-native load balancing. And I'm excited to say that as of a few months ago, this is also generally available. To wrap up, I'm going to quickly summarize a few interesting capabilities across our connect, scale, optimize, secure, and modernize pillars that not only help our users and customers to achieve their business objectives, but also allows them to do so by keeping things extremely simple. On the hybrid connectivity, we offer several options with dedicated interconnect, partner interconnect, VPN, including the HA VPN that we talked about. We offer industry-leading SLAs on those. And then, if I were to use one word to describe cloud networking, it would be global, global by default. Whether it's our global VPC or our global load balancer, enabling our users to serve their users closer to their users across the globe, simplifying the toil of sprawl and config for our customers, and also scaling instances in line with traffic, whether they go up or down. All of this happens by default. It does not need any specific special management or config. We also have one of the fastest CDNs that enables transformative applications. And Google, in general, has always been committed to making the internet faster, whether that's with the quick support on our global load balancers, or with TCP BBR, or with the HTTP2 protocols. We offer choice to the customers to optimize the underlying network for performance or for cost with our network service tiers on a per workload basis. And lastly, we have been hearing from our customers that they want to modernize at their pace. And whether that is moving away from monoliths to microservices, or doing lift and shift, or a combination of the two, we have added several powerful capabilities to cloud networking to support those application modernization journeys. You can do so with either fully managed cloud offerings, or you can do that with open source. So in the interest of time, I'll wrap up this portion here and invite Kayode and Lakshmi to talk about our recent most and exciting announcement, the Network Intelligence Center.
Thank you so much, Shubhika, and explaining all that we had done in GCP networking in 12 to 13 minutes. That's amazing, but please do take a look at, and there are a lot of deep dives from previous sessions at Next, and otherwise reach out to any one of us if you want to get further details about the things that Shubhika talked about. So now, getting into deep dive of Network Intelligence Center. So Network Intelligence Center, that is Google Cloud's comprehensive monitoring, visibility, and optimization tool that is built on our AI ML infrastructure capabilities. And it's meant to make your migration from on-prem to cloud and visibility across multiple cloud and hybrid deployments easy, and giving you insights so that you can plan your network better with the insights that coming from your configurations, your usage, and your user behavior of your network. So, most of you are here, I'm assuming some of you have network backgrounds. So and you have run into some kind of outages, anytime there's a network problem, whether it is on-prem, whether it is connectivity with hybrid, network is the first thing that seems as guilty. Connectivity is broken. OK, network is a problem. And firewall doesn't work. Network is a problem. So network is always proven guilty. And that's what we are trying to kind of, not that this statement or notion will change, but with Network Intelligence Center, we are trying to give more insight so that even if somebody makes that statement that, hey, my connectivity is broken, my application performance is not well, my network performance is not right, I'm not able to reach to the right locations, all of that time, just within that, all those problem statements that you hear, if we can help you in that migration journey and in that troubleshooting and visualization journey with some deep dive information, with some tools, so that you can pinpoint exact problem, exact cause of that performance issue, configuration issue, that's where we really want to be with Network Intelligence Center. So here are some statistics that we have received from analysts and from customers, that there's 69% of enterprise customers are still migrating to cloud. So that's kind of just number to keep in mind. And 84% of those enterprises we have heard, they have already chosen one cloud, or they're either starting with one cloud, two cloud, but they are into multi-cloud or hybrid journey already. And we also hear that 75% of network outages happen because of some kind of configuration error. And in many cases, this is a well-intended behavior. And we are not talking about these outages happening because somebody is attacking the network. It is like a network administrator or a security administrator doing the right things intended for the network and then end up impacting the configuration and the network, and outages happen. So what all we are hearing from the customers? So we heard from customers that there is a lack of comprehensive network monitoring, visibility, and set of diagnostic tools. So you're required to use multiple vendor tools on-prem. Then when you come to cloud, we lack set of cloud-native capabilities to give you the similar capabilities that you have on-prem. So then you end up using a plethora of networking, visibility, troubleshooting tools, and different tools for planning, different tools for optimizations, all of that combined. It is really hard to diagnose hybrid connectivity problems. You end up setting VPNs with different vendors. You end up connecting direct interconnect or partner interconnect. So just to resolve a connectivity issue between on-prem and cloud takes really long time. There is a lack of visibility into real-time performance. So if you are running in different regions, if you're a global VPC on GCP, and you're running in different parts of the world or different zones, so to find out whether the application performance in a specific zone or a specific region is not right as per you intended it to be, is it because the network is not behaving right in that specific zone, which is because of some outage that happened in Google's infrastructure, or whether it is because of the application deterioration of the way that your own application has behaved within your own VPC or in your own network. So there is lack of visibility into real-time information, like what is my current packet loss, what is my current latency, what is my current bandwidth. So the network parameters that can help you give the performance information about your network and hence your application. There is no way for you to understand the impact of change in configuration. So let's say you want to make a change in the route. You want to change a firewall rule. You want to change a NAT policy or a backend load balancing backend policy. When you're doing those changes, we hear from customers that when they make those changes, there is no way for them to find the impact of that configuration. I put in a route, and then suddenly I see that, hey, I was doing these database backups across 2 regions, but it ends up going to another region where I did not intend it to be. And here my egress costs go up. Or I don't see the right number of replicas being copied. So when we hear that all the time, that when we make a change in network configuration, we do not have a way to validate what the impact of that configuration is going to look like. And we hear all the time that customers need some safe tools, some tools that can safely help you optimize firewall configurations. That we hear all the time. And also, it is impossible for network administrator to have a centralized view of what my current intent is. So you keep, because each organization keep adding different configurations, you keep migrating, adding different clouds, and as you keep scaling in cloud, so over time your configuration is so organically growing that at a given point of time, sometimes between cloud operations team and network operations team, it's difficult to get a holistic view of what my Where did I start from? What is my intended state at current point? So even to get that holistic view becomes very difficult for, and then synergizing that between security ops and DevOps and cloud ops and network ops, all of that, because they all tend to be having, like, sometimes using same APIs, but different identity and rules capabilities. So very difficult to have that holistic view. So we also hear that customers want intelligent way of optimizing their configuration. So we recently launched, and the previous session talked about, that we have tools what we call as part of something called self-driving compute, where you can come and use that tool in GCP and optimize your VMs, resize your VMs. So similarly, customers are asking that, give us recommendations about what should my current configuration for firewall look like? I don't have visibility into all my routes. What should my current number of paths to internet be? What is my current path for egress should be? How do I allocate my egress across different parts of, within GCP itself? So getting that intelligence, the intelligent recommendations based on your own traffic and your own configuration, we hear that from a lot of customers, especially from customers who have been in this journey for a couple of years. So they are looking for that optimization of configuration so that they can have a better view on their planning, control on their assets, as well as because it impacts your cost. So we recognized that, hearing all these feedback, we recognized that feedback, that there is a need for a platform that offers you intelligent and continuous network operations and delivers to this promise where, as network operators and as cloud operations team combined, that you can confidently and with trust tell your customers that I understand the intent, I have the intent, and I know where my optimized configuration and what is my application performance state that I can offer you. What are the SLIs I can offer you as a customer or as a business owner in your organization? And in order to address these problems and to build this platform is why we built Network Intelligence Center. So just taking you through a journey of what Network Intelligence Center journey looks like. So think of you are a network administrator or network operator, and also cloud operator in some, based on what organization you are. You want a common place where you can go and always look at the health of your system. Instead of going to multiple dashboards or multiple tools, multiple third-party tools. So you go to this place, and then you look at the health of the network. You want all your network errors to be surfacing at one place. Some firewall is being blocked, some traffic spike is seen, some outage happened. So you want those failures to be surfaced in one place. Then you want tools that can help you troubleshoot and also detect suboptimalities. As I mentioned there, if there are 4 routing paths to different regions and different, you want to access your storage in one part or you have applications sitting around, you want suboptimalities to be detected as well. And then the system should be able to make you recommendations. Yeah, this is my suboptimal path based on as I said, this system is based on AI ML. So we continue to monitor your traffic, your configuration, and based on that, we should be able to recommend you what is the optimal configuration looking like for you. And then once we present that configuration, that what is your optimal configuration, we want to be able to give you a way so that you can test that configuration before you put it into production. And then it's a sandbox-like environment where you will validate your configuration. You know what is the impact of the configuration in that simulated environment, but based on your current state of application and services. And once you know the impact, and that's when you go and deploy accepted recommendation. But a lot of customers do not want it to be automated, so we do want to give you a choice that whether you want automated, then we can give you an option to keep those recommendations be deployed in an automated manner, or you have a choice of accepting or declining those recommendations. And then based on this behavior, as I said, we continue to learn your configuration, how you accept those configurations, how you decline that, and what you have done over time. Then you will be able to get predictive. The system will become predictive about your configuration, about your traffic patterns, and about your failures and whatnot. So we would be able to provide that insight proactively into your system that, hey, these are the times or these are the places your cost is going up or your utilization is going up. So that's kind of our end goal. We are not 100% there today, but this is how we want network intelligence journey to be playing for all the deployments for all the customers. And in the first center, as I said, like what I described is a journey, like the end journey that we really want it to be. But today, in the morning session at Keynote, what we launched, there are 2 modules which are in beta, and there are 2 in alpha. So you can be whitelisted for alpha modules as well. So 2 modules which are beta, one is called connectivity test, and that is based on a platform called Reachability, which Google has built to provide you this all the connectivity or reachability information that or information tools that I just discussed. And then second one is network topology, and we'll get into a little bit of details of each of them, and Kayode will take you through the demos. And then there are 2 platforms, there are 2 products which are in alpha. One is called Performance Dashboard, which gives you SLIs and SLOs based on the entire global health of Google's network. And also Firewall Metrics and Insights, that's another product that is in alpha. So connectivity test, that ensures connectivity and prevent outages using on-demand troubleshooting tools. So as I mentioned earlier, some numbers that I discussed, so 75% of network outages that we hear from analysts, we hear from customers, from various resources. The 75% of network outages happen due to some configuration error. So we decided to address that issue first, so that we can diagnose and root cause the connectivity issues, such as resulting from misconfiguration. As I mentioned, you might have configured a firewall rule which, by mistake, which starts blocking your traffic to specific services, right? You see that, hey, my GCS is working, or my microservice, this application that I created, it just suddenly stopped working. But because you wrote a firewall rule and it was a misconfiguration, as I said, not intended, but it was from all your rights, identity, authorization perspective, everything was fine, so no alert was raised, right? So we would be able to detect that kind of problem for you. And as I mentioned, you will see it in the demo. And understand the impact of the configuration. So once you identify and root cause the problem, we want you to be able to go and get the context of the problem from where you find it, go back to the original configuration, change it, come back, and then you rerun the test or rerun your tool, and then you would be able to right away see what was the impact of changing that configuration now on your new connectivity. So our goal with all of this connectivity is that we want you as operators, and we want you as network operators or cloud operators to give the confidence to your users that you understand your network and you can give very high availability and reliability and performance to your application developers. So using connectivity, it is very simple. It's, you're going to see that. So it's very simple, and you just provide a destination, source and destination IP address, or a source and destination VM. And this IP address can also be a remote IP address, which means from your on-prem. So we can do a connectivity test between an IP address from on-prem to GCP, and of course, vice versa. And discover any kind of inconsistencies that we find in that connectivity, which means going over interconnect or going over IPsec VPN. So we'll be able to troubleshoot all of those issues for you with just simple tests, IP address or VM instance name. And how we do it, as I mentioned, that connectivity test is built upon a platform called Reachability, and there would be more products coming out of that platform in future. So the way we do it, we create a model of the entire system, every configuration that is there in your org. So think of org and project level and VPC level hierarchy. We take a look at all of that, create a model of that system, and we run the 4 tuple that you add as source and destination. We run that in a simulated manner. So we create different path traces based on your configuration, and we run a simulation through that. And based on that, we detect whether your connectivity is up or not. So it's static configuration model-based analysis, and that's what we do. So in future, we will be adding your traffic information also on top of it. And the next tool that we'll talk about, network topology, already does something similar. So this one is based on static configuration modeling, and we have other tools where we will be able to look at your active logs and your active traffic to give you a holistic view. And so this is one of the customers that there are 70+ customers we had whitelisted in alpha. This product went beta just last week. And so most of the customers, we're hearing a lot of great things about how customers are using it. So this is one of the customers who said that the moment they used this, they were able to just see that what their current intent is and go back to their users and their developers and say that, oh, the way you have deployed a firewall, the way you're writing application matches exactly how we have configured. So this company thinks that their trust with their users and developers has gone high because they're able to show them, and you'll see in the demo, they're able to show them exact logical and logical topology matching to how application developers had written their applications on top. So this has really built their trust with their developers and users. So now Kayode is going to show a demo of these use cases that I described, and I think that will be more fun than just listening to theory. So over to Kayode.
All right, thanks, Lakshmi.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's see how connectivity test works with the help of 3 examples. So on your cloud console, just scroll down to networking, network intelligence, and connectivity test. So for the first example, let's say you have 2 VM instances that are in the same project, and you're trying to test connectivity between them. You can do that by creating a connectivity test. Let's give it a name. I'll give it VM to VM. Now, we have a couple of information you can specify for the test. You can specify TCP or any of the other protocols that we see here. And then next, you can specify your source, which could be a VM instance or an IP address. But in this example, let's specify VM instance. So here, you can actually drill down and pick any VM instance, or what I like to do, I'll just search for it. So I want to pick a VM in Europe in VPC1 network. Destination as well, I'll pick a VM instance, and I'll pick another VM in the same VPC network. Let's pick US VM. And then we have our port. So these are all the 4 tuples that Lakshmi just talked about. And then we'll click on Create. So what happens now is that we are taking your entire configuration, downloading it, and then running a reachability analysis to see if the source can actually talk to the destination. And we can see the result here. It says unreachable. So let's click on this, and then we can view a hop-by-hop trace of how your packet is actually traversing the network. Let me just zoom out a bit. You can see that we start from a VM. You go through an egress firewall rule. You go through a route that takes you to the destination where the packet is dropped. So here, you can expand any of these cards to see the information there. So here, we've pinpointed the problem to a firewall rule. And if you look 1 hop above, we have the actual firewall rule that is blocking the traffic. So right from here, we can click and then get through to the firewall configuration. And I want to make an edit here because I want to allow the traffic. I'll just disable this firewall rule for now. So just click on Disable, and then Save. So now, because I've made a change to my configuration, I need to rerun the test again. So I can highlight this, and then I can click on Rerun. And so what we're doing is we're taking the new configuration and then running the reachability analysis again, and then we'll save the new result to this test name, VM to VM. So after a couple of seconds, once we have the results, we can see that it's reachable now. And if we click through, you can see that our source can talk to the destination. So let's take a look at another example. Earlier, Shubhika talked about our HAVPN, which creates 2 tunnels to give you 4.9 SLA between 2 different locations. So let's say you've set up HAVPN between 2 VPCs in your Google Cloud environment, and you want to test this. You can create a test. Let's give it a name, HAVPN. Again, let's do TCP. This time around, we'll select a VM from, well, let's select this exact same VM again. So VPC1 EU VM, and then we'll select a different VM that lives in a different VPC. Again, these 2 VPCs are connected together via HAVPN. So I'll leave my HTTP port 80 and then just click on Create. So what we're doing now, because we have three components, we have one VPC, HAVPN in the middle, and then a third VPC. We are running the reachability analysis across the entire end-to-end infrastructure. And we can see that we have the results as reachable. Let's click on View and then see what we have. So the trace is similar to what we had earlier, where it starts from the VM, it goes through an egress firewall rule, it goes through a route, but this time around, it goes through our VPN tunnel and VPN gateway to get all the way to the destination. But how do we verify that we've configured the HAVPN correctly? Remember, HAVPN has two tunnels, and they are represented by this trace. So anytime you have multiple paths between two endpoints, we will display all the paths that are reachable as traces. So one VPN tunnel is trace 0, the other is trace 1. You can click on each to verify that your connectivity is OK. So in this example, we've set up our HAVPN correctly. So for the third example, let's take a look at a hybrid cloud environment. We talked about interconnect earlier as well. So in this example, I have a dedicated interconnect, two interconnects connecting your on-premise environment to GCP. Again, the interconnect is a direct physical connectivity from your on-premise network to GCP. So you've set it up, but you want to test it. So you can do that with a connectivity test. Let's say GCP to on-prem. I'll select the same protocol. We're starting from GCP, so I'm going to select a VM in the VPC that I've configured the interconnect, and that is VPC 1. And the destination is an IP address of a server that exists on-prem. And because this is external to GCP, I will uncheck this box to let the reachability analysis know that. And then just click on Create. So what we're doing, again, is running the reachability analysis with your VPC and the connectivity to on-prem, and then to see if the source can actually speak to the destination. And we have a reachable result as well. If you click through this, it's similar to the HAVPN, where you have the entire end-to-end trace. As you can see here, we have the dynamic route that points through to the interconnect. And if you go one step further, it would actually tell you the circuits that you're connecting to as well. So in this example, we've configured the dedicated interconnect, two interconnects, which is 3.9 SLA correctly. So just to wrap up, you can create and save multiple connectivity tests, that actually reflect your connectivity intent. So an intent could be you want reachability between two endpoints. It would be reachable in green. Or you want to block connectivity between two endpoints. It will be red, unreachable. So anytime you run a configuration change in your environment, or anytime you make a change to your config, you can select all these tests and then rerun the test to make sure or to verify the impact that the configuration change has on your desired intent. So you can think of this as unit tests that you run. Anytime you make a change, you run it to see if your networking and network security compliance posture remains intact. So hopefully you've seen how easy it is to use the connectivity test to trace, find out the root cause, fix the problem, and then verify it. And with that, I'll hand over back to Lakshmi.
Thank you, Kayode. Wasn't that impressive, the demos? So we used to hear from customers, especially about GCP, that, hey, because we use SDN and we use our fabric, like what we call Andromeda, on which cloud sits, and Edge Fabric we call Espresso, that's all network function virtualized. So everything is just software. There are no kind of because of that, there are no bottlenecks. We are like distributed software. So but to explain that, hey, NAT and load balancer and VPN, all of that is really software, and there is nothing kind of, a box. So to explain the workflow had been very, very challenging. So, but with this kind of tool, we built, the customers have been able to kind of exactly see, as you saw in the previous one, like you can visualize exactly how your end-to-end packet flow works all the way from your all kinds of connectivities that you have. So this has been really helpful, and the demo was impressive. Thank you, Kayode. So now we'll talk about network topology. So network topology is a visualization of your global topology. So as you heard from Shubhika, that global VPC for GCP is global. You can decide to just, that doesn't mean that, just little clarification. When we say global VPC, it doesn't mean that all your routes and everything will be filtered out and shared across the globe. Eventually, it is really your choice. You can stay regional. You can use regional resources and then deploy your instances in that region. So you don't really have to go and deploy things. Global means that from an access perspective, from a simplification perspective, we have an approach of global and then going to regional, instead of kind of allowing you to go and set up different regional VPCs and then allow them to be peered or configured to look like a globe. So when we come to network topology also, so we are able to give you a global view of your topology. And then you will see that what that means. So a topology is like NAT gateways and instances and VPN and which region you're coming from, all of that comprise a topology. And then in addition to your visualization of your global topology, we also add metrics on top of it. So metrics like what is my bandwidth, what is my traffic, what is my egress traffic, all of that. And then latency, and then packet losses. So this is all what topology visualization gives you today. So we will continue to add different services. So based on the visualization, you will be able to see, even over time, what my topology is going to look like. So your current topology, and then we also help you give the topology evolution over time. So what are the use cases that we have heard from our customers? So we have many customers who are whitelisted. Just yesterday, the product went beta. So network monitoring, it's a very common use case. So for customers to be able to see that my topology is as intended as a network team thought it was going to be. And it is used for policy verification. So in your organization, you may have a policy that all my egress traffic should always go through load balancer. For example, all my GCS buckets, before they are being accessed, there should be a load balancer sitting in front of that. So these kinds of policies could be very easily verified using network topology. And network troubleshooting. So if you have, I gave an example earlier, if you have your traffic and you intended it to be staying in one region and the traffic being accessed, the storage and your database is staying in the same region, but then you start seeing the utilization spike up in another region. So this is a tool that you can easily use, and within minutes you can troubleshoot that behavior. Architecture optimization. So as you look at the topology, and and because the topology visualization also gives you a historic and the evolution of your configuration, you can take all of that metrics that you see, all the metrics that I described, and use towards optimizing your entire topology in GCP. And then migration. So this product is very useful for your migration, because when you're migrating your workloads over to GCP, you can use the visualization to see that how your utilization is increasing. Is your VM instance performing the same way as it is? Has it been migrated properly to the region that you thought? Are your NAT gateways talking to the instances that you have? All of that. So while you're migrating, you have a real-time view of your statistics, of your metrics, network metrics, and your entire topology while you're migrating it. And of course, once it is completed, you have that view too. So our customers are also using it for audits, like SOX audits. So you can take the entire, the topology visualization pictures, take the snapshot, and put it as part of your report. Just a minute, it takes it. Instead of depending on third-party tools and then running a compliance through those or certification through that. Once you're GCP certified, because this is a native tool, we heard from customers that they don't have to recertify because there is no third-party tool in there. So very fast way of auditing. So network topology, as I mentioned, is beta now. And we had, again, 70 or 80-plus customers using it for almost since we did EAP. EAP started earlier this year. So we received a lot of feedback. Chrome break slide, what is that? I don't know. OK. So I'll talk through it. So, but we need to see. OK, so network topology. So what is it built upon? We started this journey, in fact, like all this network intelligence journey started last year, February. So when our customers were coming and saying that these are the challenges we have in operating, this is the hybrid journey, we had the journey, our hybrid platform that Google has built is called Anthos. So when we started a journey on the platform level or the microservices and application level, at the same time we were doing this, transformation and building these tools to align infrastructure also onto the same path. So Anthos was on the microservices and the platform side, and then infrastructure coming along and giving you tools so that while you're doing your hybrid migration, while you're doing application migration and transformation, you're also able to match your infrastructure performance and the visualization to map those towards. We're back to business. Thank you. We're not ready for network topology demo yet. So 2 customers that you saw. So one is Kochava, and another is Pivot. So the Kochava, the customer, so when they started using it, they were the one who had found that, oh, this is not how we had intended our egress to be planned, and we were seeing a spike in our bill. But when we looked at the topology, network topology, we immediately saw that why it was happening. So that was one of the customers, and they were one of our early EAP and co-design customers as well. And for Pivot, they were running into a lot of migration problems. When they were doing the workload migration, there were instances that would show up in regions which they thought they had not intended to be. But the reason that were happening, and using connectivity tests, they found that they were dropping in some routes which were causing their instances to be connected in some other region than the one that they had intended. So our customers are finding it very easy to troubleshoot their issues and to optimize their configuration and topology while they are migrating. And also, as I mentioned, that, of course, after the migration as well. You will also see that once you have migrated, at the migration level, you can, once complete migration happens, you will get a full aggregated view of your topology, regardless of the number of projects you have, the number of regions you have, and you will see that in the demo. So it starts at the time of migration, gives you a full view. You can go back in the history and look at all your data and where your topology looked like, get all the metrics snapshot at that particular time, and which is consolidated based on all your metrics across all your VPCs and VMs that are deployed. You have 900,000 projects and thousands of VMs. We aggregate statistics from all of that, put that statistics on top of your topology. So you have the real-time visibility into your statistics. And with that, I will hand over to Kayode for doing a demo, and hope the demo will go.
All right.
Thanks,
Lakshmi. All right. So let's see how to use the network topology with the help of some examples covering all the use cases. So as before, just go under networking, network intelligence, and then go under topology. So what we have here is a visualization of the current deployment in your project. So on top, you can see we have our geographic regions that represents the external clients that are connecting to your environment. So we have the Americas, EMEA, and APAC. You can drill down into any of the region to see where the actual traffic is coming from or is being served to. So in the middle here, we have our load balancing. Here, I have an internal load balancer configured, and then we have external load balancers as well. So it has all the load balancers in your environment, whether it's HTTPS load balancer or other HTTPS load balancer or TCP SSL proxy load balancers. And at the bottom here are your GCE instances and the regions that they are deployed in. You can drill down into a region to see your resources like CloudNAT, and you can also drill down further into the region to see the actual zones that your resources are deployed in, and then finally to your VMs in those particular zones. So what some customers use the network topology for is network policy verification. So let's say you have a policy that says all external traffic should go through a load balancer. You can quickly verify this by either clicking on the GCP region or the external geo region. So in this example, we can see that some traffic actually go through the load balancer to back-end instances configured in this region. But then we also have some traffic that have actually gone directly from the region to the internet. So that policy is being violated in this very example. And let's say another policy could be, or rather you can use this to verify if your users are being served from optimal regions. So let's say the APAC users, here we can clearly see that they are all being served from the Asia East 1 region. And now another feature you can use for viewing the evolution of your topology, as Lakshmi mentioned earlier, is the timeline, where you can actually scroll back in time to see how your topology looked like at that particular time. So you can see the evolution of your topology, and you can track your progress. You can also use it for troubleshooting, because if you have a network event, you can go back in time to where the event occurred and then see if there's a topology chain that contributed to the event. And you can also search for specific resources like external load balancer and then troubleshoot around it. So another point that Lakshmi mentioned was the project aggregation, where you could actually use that to get an overall organizational view of your resources. So here you can clearly see the relationships between your projects. I have 2 projects paired together, and the relationship to your external clients. So hopefully you've seen how this can be used as a single dashboard where you can use for monitoring, verifying, and then optimizing your network. And with that, I'll hand back to Lakshmi.
Okay. Thank you, Kayode. So 2 more modules, and I'll quickly go through them. They're under alpha. Performance dashboard. So this performance dashboard would be a product that is added under Network Intelligence Center. So that will give you a global view of all the performance information. And currently, it is latency and packet loss, intra-zone, inter-region, across the globe. So what we do, we consolidate this information from all the performance behavior that we are seeing, network performance that we are seeing across different VMs and different resources deployed in GCP. And currently, that global view is what is in alpha. But the next version of it is that we would be able to give you per project level information or per customer level. So for your org, for your project, you will be able to get SLIs. And then SLIs will be based on, as I mentioned, your real-time performance, which is packet loss and latency for now, within your project, so how your project is behaving. So you would be able to get access to that information. And then visualization-wise, we will present it in Network Intelligence Center, Stack Driver, or in Network Topology as well. So another product, Firewall Metrics and Insight. As I mentioned in the beginning, that our customers had been asking for a secure way of optimizing firewall. So Firewall Insights is a product which will, what it allows you is to give you the usage of your firewall rules. So you will see how many firewalls are hit what time. So that's kind of one part of it. Second is that we look through all of them, and we can explain you that, we can show you whether one firewall rule is being shadowed by another rule, and if there is an overlap, and we present to you that view, an optimized view of that, hey, based on what we know and the statistics that we have, maybe these rules are not good enough for you, or maybe your firewall is not secure enough. So that's really what Firewall Insights, Metrics, and Insights mean. And we will continue to bring such kind of recommendations nowadays for firewall, but in future, we are working on load balancer insights and then armor insights and whatnot. So with that, it's a wrap-up. So Network Intelligence Center is GCP's comprehensive network monitoring, verification, and optimization tool. Currently, 2 products in alpha, performance dashboard, and firewall metrics and insight, and 2 products available in beta that you can use. Go ahead and you can use all of them. For alpha products, you will be whitelisted. As I mentioned, network topology graph, that is GCP is the first cloud provider for network topology to give you the global view along with metrics, the real-time metrics that I described. And then for connectivity tests, GCP is the first cloud provider which uses the static config-based validation method with simulated path without even using your traffic to give you the full connectivity information all the way from on-prem to GCP. And we have, and to summarize, our customers have told us that they have been able to reduce their troubleshooting time from days to hours to minutes. And you saw in some cases that how we do it. And their SLO outages times have reduced significantly because your troubleshooting times have gone down. So SLO outages have gone down. And this is complete. This is all these modules together with Network Intelligence Center has built better trust using the visibility and the SLO outages reduction that has been there. So with that, thank you so much. And I hope you really enjoy using this product. And please take some time to provide the feedback, and we would love to connect with you and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.